Imagine this. It's 1955. The sun beats down on a dusty construction site in small-town America. A 35-year-old man named Frank swings a sledgehammer like it weighs nothing. His shoulders are broad, his grip iron-tight. His voice carries across the yard without cracking. He works 10-hour shifts, comes home, wrestles with his 3 kids in the yard, then makes love to his wife like it's still their honeymoon. No energy drinks, no therapy apps, no low-T commercials on TV. Frank just feels like a man, full of fire, full of drive. Fast forward to today. Same age, same job maybe, but the guy in the hard hat? Let's call him Mike. He drags himself out of bed after 8 hours of sleep that still feels like 4. His back aches before he even lifts anything. His libido? A distant memory most weeks. He scrolls through his phone at lunch, sees ads for testosterone boosters costing hundreds a month, and wonders why he feels half the man his grandfather was. What the hell happened? I'm going to take you on a journey right now, one that starts in the golden haze of the 1950s and ends with a secret so stupidly simple, so dirt cheap, it costs about 14 cents a day. By the time we're done, you'll understand exactly why men back then ran on higher-octane testosterone than we do today, and you'll know the one missing piece that could flip the switch for you, your sons, your brothers, maybe even your dad. Stick with me. This isn't another eat steak and lift fluff piece. This is the real story, backed by blood tests, forgotten studies, and a trace mineral that modern science quietly proved can turn the dial back toward 1950s levels. If you're a man who's ever felt like the world quietly stole something vital from you, keep reading, because what I'm about to reveal has already changed lives, and it might just change yours. Picture Frank again for a second. What did his world look like that ours doesn't? He ate food grown in soil that hadn't been stripped bare by industrial farming. His water didn't come laced with microplastics or forever chemicals. He moved his body all day, not in a gym for 45 minutes, but actually worked with his hands. Stress? Sure, but it was the kind you solve with sweat and a cold beer, not endless doom scrolling. Sleep came easy because screens didn't exist to fry his circadian rhythm at 11 p.m. But here's the part nobody talks about in the fancy podcasts. Something in that 1950s environment quietly supercharged his hormones in a way we've lost. Studies, real ones, published in places like the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, show that a man the same age as Frank in the 1980s already had measurably lower testosterone than men born decades earlier. By the time we hit the 2000s and 2010s, the drop became a cliff. One landmark study tracked men of identical ages across generations and found total testosterone falling roughly 1% every single year since the late 80s. That adds up fast. A 30-year-old today, often sitting 20 to 30% lower than his dad at the same age. A 60-year-old in 2004, 17% lower than a 60-year-old in 1987. We're not just getting older. The entire male population is running on weaker fuel. Why? Let's walk through the wreckage together, because understanding the why makes the 14-cent fix hit harder. First, the obvious villain, fat. Not the kind you eat, the kind that piles on. In the 1950s, obesity rates were a fraction of today's. Extra body fat doesn't just sit there. It turns testosterone into estrogen through an enzyme called aromatase. The more fat, the more that conversion happens. Modern men carry more visceral fat from ultra-processed food, seed oils, and sitting 10 hours a day staring at screens. One study after another shows the link. Higher BMI, lower T. It's not complicated, it's chemistry. But even lean guys today test lower than lean guys back then, so fat isn't the whole story. Next culprit, the invisible chemical soup we swim in. Plastics, pesticides, flame retardants, endocrine disruptors like BPA, phthalates, and PFAS. These molecules look enough like estrogen or block testosterone receptors to throw the whole system off. In the 1950s, fewer plastics in everything. Food came wrapped in wax paper, not single-use containers leaching chemicals. Water pipes weren't PVC. Kids didn't chew on toys made of who knows what. population-level studies from Israel, Denmark, the US, and Finland all show the same downward trend in testosterone that can't be explained by age or BMI alone. Something environmental is shifting the baseline for everyone. Then there's movement. Frank didn't do cardio, he worked. Heavy labor spikes testosterone, real resistance, real recovery. Modern desks, cars, delivery apps, and low-impact workouts don't. High-intensity stuff helps, but most guys don't do it enough consistently. Chronic cardio without strength actually tanks T over time. Sleep, stress, sunlight, all of it compounds. But here's where the story gets juicy and where most videos stop. There's one factor that almost nobody connects to the 1950s advantage until now. It's a trace mineral, barely talked about, not flashy, not sold in $97 alpha male bundles, just a simple element that used to show up more reliably in the food chain. Boron. Yeah, boron, the stuff you might vaguely remember from high school chemistry or that borax cleaner under the sink. But listen, this isn't woo-woo, this is published science. Back in 2011, researchers took 8 healthy men and gave them 10 milligrams of boron per day for just 1 week. What happened? Free testosterone jumped from 11.83 picograms per milliliter to 15.18 picograms per milliliter. That's a 28% increase in the usable form of T, the kind that makes you feel like Frank swinging that hammer. At the same time, estrogen, estradiol, dropped sharply. Inflammation markers like HSCRP and TNF-alpha fell hard. The ratio of free T to estrogen skyrocketed.
Another study in postmenopausal women, who also make some testosterone, showed boron more than doubled their T levels when magnesium was low, common today too. A 2015 review laid it out plain. Boron acts like an androgen amplifier. It lowers sex hormone-binding globulin, SHBG, the protein that locks up your testosterone so it can't work. It helps convert total T into free T. It even supports vitamin D and magnesium pathways that keep the whole hormone factory humming. Now here's the 1950s connection that makes your jaw drop. In those days, soil still had decent boron levels. Fruits and vegetables pulled it up naturally. People ate more produce that hadn't been grown in boron-depleted industrial farmland. Cantaloupe, avocados, raisins, beans, everyday foods delivered trace amounts that added up. Modern diets processed everything, soil stripped. Even healthy eaters often come up short. The kicker? Boron is ridiculously cheap. You can get high-quality boron supplements, pure, third-party tested, for pennies. We're talking 14 cents a day or less for an effective 6 to 10 milligram dose. That's it, the 14-cent secret. I know what you're thinking. If it's so simple, why isn't everyone doing it? Because nobody gets rich off a mineral you can buy in bulk for the price of a coffee. Big Pharma pushes $300 a month gels and injections with side effects. Supplement companies want you chasing Tongkat Ali, Fedogia, or whatever exotic herb is trending this month. Boron? Too basic, too boring, too effective without the markup. But real men who've tried it, they notice. Energy that doesn't crash at 3 p.m., libido that actually shows up uninvited, recovery from workouts that feels easier, stronger, grip, sharper mood. Some even report better sleep and less joint pain. One guy I know, a 42-year-old dad who was dragging, started 6 milligrams boron daily after reading the same studies. 3 weeks later, he texted, "Bro, I feel like I'm 25 again. Not kidding. My wife asked what I'm taking." He didn't change diet or gym much, just added the missing piece his grandfather probably got for free from the land. Now, before you run out and buy some, let's be real adults here. This isn't magic. It won't turn a couch potato into Frank overnight if your sleep is garbage and you're 40% body fat. But stacked on top of the basics, lifting heavy a few times a week, eating real food, sleeping 7 to 8 hours, cutting the obvious junk, it becomes the accelerator. Here's how the 1950s guys had the edge without even knowing it. Their environment delivered more boron naturally. Ours doesn't, so we supplement the gap. You can get it from food if you're deliberate. Prunes, raisins, almonds, avocados, but you'd need a lot consistently. Easier? A simple capsule. Look for boron citrate or glycinate. 6 to 10 milligrams per day is the sweet spot from the studies. Take it in the morning with food. Cycle if you want, say 4 to 8 weeks on, 2 off, though long-term low dose seems safe for most. Watch for magnesium and vitamin D too. Boron works better when they're optimized. And get blood work before and after if you can. Total T, free T, estradiol, SHBG. See the numbers yourself. Science, not hype. Think about what this means for your life. The 1950s man wasn't lucky. He lived in a world that accidentally supported higher T. We live in one that accidentally suppresses it. But we have the cheat code, knowledge plus one cheap mineral. You don't need TRT at 35 unless you've got a real clinical issue. You don't need to spend a fortune. You need to fix the leaks. Lifestyle first, then plug the one most people miss. The 14-cent secret isn't sexy. It's not a biohacking gadget or a $200 blood test subscription. It's quiet. It's reliable. It's the kind of thing Frank would have shrugged at and kept swinging that hammer. But for us, it might be the difference between feeling like Mike and feeling like the man we were meant to be. So here's your move. Tonight, before you close this, order a bottle. It'll arrive in 2 days. Start tomorrow. Track how you feel after 7 to 14 days, then come back and tell me in the comments, or just quietly notice the change in the mirror, in the gym, in the bedroom. Because the 1950s didn't have better men, they had better conditions. We can recreate the best part for pennies. You now know the secret. The only question left is what are you going to do with it? The fire is still in you. It just needs the right spark. And that spark costs 14 cents.